Hi, and thanks for watching. I'm Michael Alden. Folks, if you're one of the millions of Americans that suffer with diseases such as diabetes, heart disease, arthritis, and even cancer, my guest today claims to have unlocked a secret to preventing and curing these diseases naturally. He's one of the nation's foremost authorities on health and wellness, and he's here today to talk about his revolutionary, groundbreaking book entitled Live Disease Free to 103. Folks, I've read this book, and it contains information that can change your life. You're not going to want to miss this next half an hour. Please welcome Mr. Jim Schreiner. Jim?
Hey, it's a pleasure, Mike. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thanks for being on my show. You know, before we get started, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got involved in the world of health and nutrition?
Absolutely, Mike. That story is actually going to lead us into the program. At the age of 16, I was actually paralyzed by a tumor in my third vertebrae. Specialists from all over the country told me that I would probably never walk again. Through the grace of God, a surgeon from Germany came in. He literally removed my third vertebrae, used my pelvis, and built me a new vertebrae. Now, I was laying in Riley Children's Hospital, 6 foot tall, 105 pounds in a full-length body cast. Now, you would think that would be a pretty eye-opening experience.
Sure.
But when I left the hospital and began my rehabilitation, at the age of 43, my father went into a hospital right across the street from me to have his very first open heart surgery, Mike, at 43 years old.
Wow.
It was, it just blew my mind. And it got to start thinking very seriously about health issues. And I just looked at my father, looked at my mother, and I looked at my brothers and sisters, and it was amazing because if you looked at our gene pool, my parents, my grandparents, everybody was suffering from heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, you name it, we had it.
Sure.
I had just left the hospital from having a tumor removed. I was literally scared to death. So I went back to college, studied exercise and nutrition, and I've applied those philosophies to my life. And Mike, I'm here to tell you, at the age of nearly 50, I cannot remember ever being sick. I've not had so much as a cold in over 25 years. I've never had the flu.
You've never had the flu?
Never had the flu. We're going to talk about that in the program. People were going crazy getting this flu shot. Rather than getting a flu shot, why don't you let me teach you how to prevent the body from getting it in the first place? Because that's how God designed our bodies, to fight off anything attacking it. The flu, a cold, even illnesses such as cancer. But Mike, I want you to get this. And if you can listen to this one story and it makes sense, that'll give a common theme throughout the program. Remember, my father went into the hospital at 43 for his first open heart surgery. Now, what they did, he had 15% blood flow, which meant all of his major arteries were closed off.
Wow.
One artery had 5%, one artery had 10%. He should have been dead at 43. They bypassed his arteries. We call that open heart bypass surgery. They basically bypassed all the blockage. Before he left the hospital, they gave him prescription medications to lower his cholesterol.
Okay.
Because that was the story, right? Mike, you have heart disease because you have high cholesterol. That's the story that the pharmaceutical industry has been telling us for well over probably 10 years,
Well,
right?
yeah, you're not supposed to eat eggs or eat meat or anything like that.
Exactly. Right. So they told my father that same story. They said, Jim, now we're going to lower your cholesterol. So you take these prescription medications so we can lower your cholesterol to help you prevent heart disease.
Sure.
Now watch. He took the medications. 10 years later, almost to the date, they checked his cholesterol. His cholesterol was fine because he was taking the medications.
Okay.
But guess what? He had to have another open heart surgery.
Why?
He still had clogged arteries.
Well, didn't the drugs help?
That's the magic question, Mike.
Well, that was what they're supposed to do.
Exactly. That's what we're being told.
Right.
We're being told that these prescription drugs are supposed to lower cholesterol and help prevent heart disease. But you know, Mike, there is no data, no science to prove that having high cholesterol will in fact reduce your risk of heart disease. Listen to the disclaimers. Even the drug ads will tell you this product has not been proven to reverse or lower your risk of heart disease. Now wait a second, then why are we lowering our cholesterol? Watch, my father took the drugs. He had his first open heart surgery at 43. 10 years later, while taking the drugs, had another open heart surgery. 12 years later, while taking the drugs, had another open heart surgery. At 67, died of heart disease while taking the medication to lower his cholesterol.
That's unbelievable.
Doesn't make sense.
That's unbelievable.
Mike, there is absolutely no correlation I know people are going to think, man, this guy's out there. Do the science yourself.
Okay.
There's science that will back up what I'm telling you. There is no correlation between you having high cholesterol and heart disease. Other countries outlive us and they don't take heart medications and they have no heart disease. Why? Because there is a cure for heart disease, and it's not a drug.
Heart disease and cancer run neck and neck.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
They're the number one and number two killers here in the United States.
Yeah, this year it's probably heart disease, next year cancer, next year heart disease. They go back and forth.
But yeah,
over
with the medical technology that we have out there and all the drugs that we have out there, why do we still even see heart disease? And
Great question. We're not even looking.
what do you mean we're not looking?
Our medical industry has 100% failed. Mike, look, you just said it. In America, we have more drugs than any other country on the face of the planet, and we have more heart disease, diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, obesity than any other country. Yet we take more drugs. If you were to ask the owners of these drug companies, they'll tell you, we're not even looking for a cure. Mike, they're not looking for the cure. Why would they want to find a cure? Wouldn't it be smarter if you owned a company that manufactured a drug? Which would make more sense? Develop a drug to cure you of your symptoms, cure you of your disease, so you never have to take the drug again.
Okay.
Or develop a drug that you have to take every day for the rest of your life.
Well, I mean, that you're right, and that's the one thing you asked me to do a little bit of research myself, and I have before the show. And most of these drug companies are publicly traded corporations, and their only fiduciary duty is to make
Sell more
money
drugs.
and sell more drugs.
Exactly.
They don't really care about curing anybody.
Why would they want to cure anything? Think about it. Jerry Lewis has been holding muscular dystrophy telethons for what, 20, 30, 40, 50 years? I don't know. The guy looks 100.
Sure.
He's been holding telethons forever. We're nowhere nearer a cure. President Nixon announced the war on cancer in 1972. Mike,
Okay.
where are we?
Yeah.
Cancer will kill more people this year than it did in 1950. You have a higher rate. You have a higher chance of getting cancer today and dying of cancer than you did when we declared the war on
Yeah,
cancer.
the statistics are what, 1 in 2?
1 in 2.
That means either you or I are going to get
cancer or heart disease, and you will die of one of those twos. And what's amazing,
That's
Mike,
scary.
it's very scary. One of us is going to get heart disease or cancer. One of every two. You're either going to get heart disease or cancer or diabetes. Diabetes is an epidemic. And now think about this. If I make insulin, if you made insulin,
Okay.
you sure wouldn't want to cure diabetes. No,
Right.
You want to get people taking your insulin.
Right.
The pharmaceuticals companies, you said it, pharmaceutical companies have one legal responsibility, and that is to make their stockholders money. How do you make money? You sell more drugs. Mike, how do you sell more food? If you make a company, you make a product, you got to sell more food.
Sure.
You're not going to make a food and then hope that a couple people eat it. You're going to put something in that food that's going to cause you to eat more of that food. It's all about the money.
So what are we supposed to do, Jim? I mean, you wrote a book. It's called Live Disease Free to 103. And in your book, I've read it, but give me some examples of what are we supposed to do? I mean, we're inundated with drugs, and we're a nation of fast food. What do we do? What's the answer?
Mike, the answer is we have got to get our eyes focused in the right direction. I want you to think about something. What if as a nation we're putting so much emphasis on chemicals and drugs in the cure for a disease that we're not even looking in the right direction? The reason I say that is because we have got to start looking back at the earth. We've got to start looking back at what God created, because God created life. He created the earth, the sun, nutrients to take care of us, not chemicals. God did not create chemicals. He created foods. He created the sun. He allowed us to exercise, to burn toxins. And in the book, one of the most important things that you're going to find is I'm going to provide you with my top 10 foods list. Because if you want to get back to basics, Mike, the bottom line is, in order for you to live a longer, healthier, disease-free, more productive life, the bottom line is you've got to bring into your body the right components to do that. And you've got to eliminate the components that are causing you damage, the toxins, the chemicals.